Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Phil, and we are Limelight, advancing data to power the indoor agricultural revolution. So I'm here today to talk about a pretty big problem, and that's global food supply. Historically, our crops have come from farms that look like this, but we simply know that that won't be enough. In fact, Australia's National Science Agency projects that we will need to make more food in the next 40 years than we have over the entire course of human history to date. And to make that more complicated, we need to do that on a planet that's showing pretty severe signs of environmental stress. Now, the good news is that many believe the solution will look like this, that ag tech has the power to use technology to produce better growing conditions in these artificial environments than the natural earth. However, there's a fundamental issue, and that is light. It turns out that light in these environments is really tricky. In fact, the blue LED lighting that we now know is critical to plant growth was only invented about 5 years ago. So getting data is really hard. So to demonstrate this, what you can imagine is one of these indoor greenhouses that gets different types and amounts of light over the course of a day or a month, right? To get the data today, what these indoor growers use is a single stationary sensor that's good at collecting data right around the sensor, but completely inaccurate for the rest of the greenhouse. But what if that wasn't the case? What if there was a way that growers knew exactly how much and what types of light were hitting every single square foot of their greenhouse? Well, as you could probably guess, that is where Limelight comes in. So Limelight is the world's first charge-free millimeter scale light sensor. I have it right here if you can't see it. Trust me, I wish it was purple, but it's blue and white. This technology was developed here on Northwestern's campus from the lab of Professor John Rogers. This sensor is a millimeter scale, so it can fit right on the leaf of the plant or in a post right next to the plant. It has 8-band monitoring, which is the full wavelength for plant health life. It's waterproof, it's charge-free, and it's extremely low cost, which makes it the perfect application in a greenhouse. And this is brought to you by us. We're Limelight. We're a team of Northwestern Materials Science and Kellogg MBA students. Relatively young company. We're currently pre-revenue, but we are in discussions with customers today. So let's talk about this technology. How does it work? So the Limelight sensor picks up and collects light from natural and artificial sources. It then builds up that light in a photodiode that when it reads out the light measurement to a mobile or smartphone device, it actually exchanges power, which is how the device is charge-free. But here's the exciting part, what you do with that data. So first, you can improve the yield. For example, scientists now know that you can adjust the amount of red light that strawberries receive to make them harvest 1 month sooner. It can also reduce energy costs. Energy is the #1 cost component for indoor farms, sometimes up to 40%. So any cost reduction is pretty significant. You can automate the lighting adjustments. You can imagine a heat rack of different artificial lights and LEDs that adjust according to what sunlight is getting in or what types of crops you have. And you can plan the placement of these. Rather than months of trial and error every time you move your greenhouse or you introduce a new crop, this can take all of that away. So there's got to be other light sensors on the market, right? There are, but let's talk about those. So in one category, we have companies that do provide analytics. But as I talked about previously, they get their data from that one single stationary sensor. So inherently, it's low accuracy. You can get better data, but you have to use these big, bulky handheld sensors and carry those around, which just simply is not feasible over the course of a day, over and over. And that is where Limelight comes in. So first, Limelight has a unique proprietary technology that gets better data, which we want to use as a Trojan horse to move into the analytics market. And we think that that combination of factors is really what sets us apart from all the other solutions on the market. And why is now the right time? Well, first of all, similar to the rise of indoor growing, Agrilyst projects that the market for indoor farming technology, just the technology alone, will be up to $2.7 billion by 2024 and continuing to rise. And we actually had a number of conversations that validated this. We talked to Pioneer, a seed manufacturer, who said lighting is their most critical issue right now. We talked to the largest cannabis grower, public cannabis grower in Canada. They want to fly us out immediately and try our sensors right now. We talked to Freight Farms, a really cool company that's making indoor farms in shipping containers. They also want to try our sensor immediately. And we talked to Northwestern. Here, the researchers at the botany department have said that, yes, this sensor could absolutely improve their growing conditions, which we thought was really cool. So how are we going to get there? Well, first, we want to target the right beachhead market, which for us means 4 things. 1, high-margin plant to justify the investment. We want it to be energy intensive and light sensitive to make sense for the sensor. And of course, we want it to be a high-growth market. So we looked at a number of different markets, microgreens, leafy greens, fruits and vegetables. And it turns out there's actually one market that perfectly fits all of those characteristics, and that is legal cannabis. Last con. First, high-margin plant, thousands of dollars per pound. We don't need this, pretty obvious there. Energy intensive. Did you know that in cities like Denver, up to 4% of the total energy consumption comes from indoor cannabis grow houses? It's very light sensitive. Not only can the plant wilt, but too much UV actually decreases and impacts the THC content. And of course, it's a high-growing market. Could say it's growing like a weed. Bad, sorry, I'll take that back. Don't let that come into play. So beyond just that beachhead, we think we have a pretty cool go-to-market strategy. So first, we want to pilot just with cannabis research facilities. They will rely on sales of our sensors only, but in turn, we'll use the data that they have to build out our analytics platform. We'll then carry that platform onto full-scale cannabis operations. From there, we want to go into our next most attractive market, which is the microgreens market. But frankly, we don't think it stops at microgreens. In fact, our vision is that wherever something is grown indoors, every indoor grower has access to the analytics and the software that they need to really unlock the power of artificial growing and provide sustainable, low-cost food to their local economies. Right? So we know there's a lot of challenges with global food supply, but at Limelight, we think the future's bright. Thanks, everybody.